What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with another fantasy football video. Today I am talking players I am targeting in every single draft. They're just going in a position and have the upside and the combination of upside and safety where it makes them a player that I'm going after in every single draft. Obviously, my build will depend on whether I end up taking some of these players around 4, 5, 6. If I started with 3 wide receivers, I might not be grabbing my 4th wide receiver in round 5 off of one of these guys. But it gives you a lot of really good options as you get into those middle rounds of the draft. Some players in really important positions that you can go out and get and feel very confident adding them to your roster, adding them to the group of studs you drafted in those early rounds, and have a dependable guy who's going to score points week in, week out, and give you the upside and safety combination of a dependable player and a guy that can help you bring home that fantasy football championship this year. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. Let me know who are the guys you guys are targeting in every single draft. I'll respond to all comments as always. Okay, so our first player that I'm targeting in every single draft right now is none other than George Kittle himself. So he's currently going 41st overall, so he's being taken in the middle of the 4th round right now. And let's just look into some data about George Kittle. Let's look at some of these points per game for these tight ends last year, if it'll go. Here we go. We got it now. We can look at his stats while that's loading up for some reason. But the main reason I'm such a big fan of George Kittle is you're getting him at a similar draft value to where you've gotten him the last 2 or 3 years, even though he's performed very well the last 2 seasons. And the depth chart around him has changed dramatically. Deebo Samuel, no longer on the team, traded. Brandon Ayuk, recovering from a major knee injury, is not really expected to be ready for the beginning of the regular season. Even if he is, we saw him start last year slow, just off of training camp. Usually the first year back, sometimes guys tend to struggle a little bit less at the wide receiver position than the running back position, but still something to look at. If he's missing 4 or 6 weeks of the season, that's a big chunk for George Kittle to soak up a lot of those targets. And what does Brandon Ayuk look like when he comes back? They do have Juwan Jennings. They do have Ricky Pearsall. I think those are 2 very capable pass catchers. McCaffrey as well. But this just assures me that George Kittle is going to be a major focal point of the passing game this year. I think he has a very good chance of finishing as the most valuable pass catcher on the San Francisco 49ers. This is weird. Come on. We saw last year 94 targets over 15 games. I think he'll easily be over 110 targets, maybe closer to that 130 number this year. The San Francisco 49ers also have the easiest schedule in the NFL for a number of years going back. Actually, it's historically an easy schedule. And like I said, just all the things that have happened with the depth chart. George Kittle's an extremely productive player already with all these other elements already added in that are no longer there this year. He's got a great quarterback in Brock Purdy. And then if we look at, again, this isn't loading, but George Kittle averaged 13.2 fantasy points per game and halfway in PPR last year. Good for tight end 2, just short of Brock Bowers on a per game basis. So really impressive what he was able to do in that remark. And then again, like I said, just add in less target competition, easy schedule this year. He's always been a stud, and you can get him in the middle of round 4. I have no problem taking him in round 3 just if you want to lock down George Kittle onto your roster. Make sure you get him. Completely understand. Okay, and then just so you guys could see, here are the scoring leaders. So George Kittle is actually better on a per-game basis than Brock Bowers was this last season. Just a dominant player for fantasy football and heading into a better situation in 2025. Okay, next up on our value board, we have Detroit Lions running back David Montgomery, currently going as the RB66. I think this one is just criminal to me where he's going right now. He is just such a safe player. You know that he has as good a touchdown upside just about every week he plays as any player in fantasy football, which gives him an extremely high floor. Normally touchdowns don't really give you the floor, they give you the ceiling, but that's how likely he is to score, that you can just about count on it every single week. And yeah, the Detroit Lions offense may take a step back this year. Maybe they don't have as many rushing opportunities on the end zone. But still, where you're getting David Montgomery right now at RB22, some of the running backs that are going in front of him, let's see. Chuba, excuse me. Sorry, brother, didn't mean to butcher your name. James Conner is a little bit of an older back, although he's been extremely successful lately. Omarion Hampton, just some of these guys, you know that David Montgomery is going to get off to a better start. And if you look at some of the guys after him, R.J. Harvey, I would so much rather have David Montgomery over R.J. Harvey. Caleb Johnson, would rather have David Montgomery over Caleb Johnson. DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery by a mile. Judkins, David Montgomery by a mile. So if you look at some of the running backs around him and then you look at his per-game basis, we'll check that out in 1 second. But last year, 185 carries, 775 yards, 12 touchdowns. Very impressive for him. Actually caught a lot more passes than I think he will probably heading into this season. But let's talk about some of these per-game stats that he had last year because it is remarkable. He averaged 14.6 points per game, which would have been good for RB13 last year. And you're getting him at RB22 value. He scored more points per game than Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, James Conner, and Bucky Irving this last season. All of whom are going ahead of him in drafts. Let me just double check Kenneth Walker where he's going. Yeah, he's got to be ahead. Let's see. Kenneth. Oh, way ahead. Yeah. So when you just take a look at some of the things like that, I would much rather wait a little bit, give me the David Montgomery than the Kenneth Walker, who also has injury concerns. Let me get him a few rounds later. And again, on that per game basis, Monty is just so good every time he's out there. I don't think that can be discounted. 2 years ago, he was fantastic for fantasy football. He is not going to go away. The team gave him an extension this year as well. I just think you're getting an RB1 in the middle of round 6, and I'd do that all day. Okay, the next player we're going to talk about, we did touch on a bit, Quinshon Judkins, currently going in the 74th overall. That is the middle of round 7. The reason I'm so high on Judkins, I think he is going to walk into the starting running back role for the Cleveland Browns. When you look at his draft capital, high second-round pick. I want to say he's a 36th overall player. Actually, it should show me. Yeah, 204. Bingo. That's great draft capital. He's a great talent. We see he ran a 4.48 at 221 pounds, which is excellent numbers. And then when you take a look at some of his stats in college, they are ridiculous. Look at this year. This was his freshman season. I think he was 19. Yeah, perfect. It's got it on here. But to do that at 19 years old as a true freshman in the SEC, I guess I believe he was a true freshman. Maybe he wasn't, but he's still 21 coming out. So a young player. And then you see the per rush yards still stay good even when he goes to Ohio State and has less of a workload. I'm extremely encouraged. I think he's a great running back. I think he's going to step right into that role in an offense that's going to want to run the ball. He reminds me a lot of James Robinson a few years ago when we saw him be extremely successful on that Jaguars team. He was just getting just about all the work. I don't know if Judkins is going to be the same player in the passing game, getting all of that work that James Robinson was getting, but I think he can be an even more effective player on the ground. He was a great player in college. He has got the speed scores, the size, the production profile. He's going to step into a starting role. And if you look at players that outperform draft positions year over year, rookie running backs are one of the major groups. So you want to be targeting these players. And when you can get him in round 7, if you're starting with like a hero RB build or a zero RB build, you could grab this guy as your RB2 and know that he's going to go out there week 1 and get you 10, 15 carries, probably closer to 15, I would guess. But that really gives you a lot of upside. I do think some guys like Caleb Johnson have more upside than he does. There's another name that I was just thinking about that was on this list. Let's see. Caleb Johnson, I do think has more upside. Obviously, he's going ahead of him. But I think like week 1, I would prefer to start Quinshon Judkins. Let's look at some of these other guys. Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard. Aaron Jones, I think, is a great value where he's going in drafts right now just because, again, he's going to step right into that role. I would probably take Aaron Jones over Judkins if he's going to be my RB2. But Isaiah Pacheco, some of these backs, there's a massive difference between them and what Quinshon Judkins' upside is stepping into that starting running back role for the Cleveland Browns. He could easily get 250 carries as a rookie, which if he does, he's going to outperform this draft position. He is a great player. Oftentimes I see him in that group of running backs, him, Travion Henderson, some of those guys. I'm taking Judkins over Travion Henderson all day. Caleb Johnson I can understand, but if I am starting with a wide receiver heavy team and I need a guy who can come in week 1 and play, I am going Judkins all day. This is going to bring us to our 4th player of the day, our first quarterback. is none other than Justin Fields, currently going as a quarterback 10, 91st overall, the middle of round 8. And this really just brings up what Justin Fields was able to do his last year when he was a starter for fantasy football. He might not be the best NFL quarterback. That is true. But the things that he can do for fantasy with his legs, let me give you some stats. The last year he was a starter, he averaged 20.5 points per game and finished as a quarterback 5 amongst qualified quarterbacks in 2022, his last year as a starter. Those are fantastic numbers, obviously. What he's able to do with his legs, he's one of the elite rushers in the NFL. The contract that he got with the Jets makes me very confident that they're going to commit to him starting unless he's abysmal, and I don't expect him to be. He looked very solid for the Steelers last year, and I think they were making him play a brand of football that's not usually him. He's got a great receiver in Garrett Wilson. We saw him be extremely successful with DJ Moore in Chicago that season as well. But I think all the things are pointed up for Justin Fields, where you can get him now to get a rushing quarterback who go out there and throw, 20 touchdowns, have 3,500 passing yards, somewhere around there. Let's say maybe 3,300. He's not the most prolific passer, but he's a guy who could go out there and have 800, 900 yards rushing, which is absolutely massive for where the fantasy football is scored, especially at the quarterback position. And then that guy could run in 8 touchdowns. So that gives him such great upside where you can target him right now in drafts. He's a guy that I want to go after. I'm willing to take a lot of these guys around early because of some of these things that we're talking about. No internet connection, but it's fine. I had the things written down about Justin Fields that we just discussed. And then this brings me up to my honorable mention. He's not a guy I would say I'm targeting in every draft, but he is a good value, I think. I think he's just kind of left for dead this year, and it's Travis Kelce. If you look at reception numbers, he's been really good these last several years. I want to say he caught 80 balls this last year. The yardage wasn't there, but he has lost some weight coming into the season. That does give me a little bit of hope, just getting a little bit quicker maybe. And usually, that doesn't really happen as you get older. I'm not expecting him. His game's not really built on speed. But I still think he's going to be a reliable target in this offense. He's a guy who's going to go out there and catch 80-plus passes, which at the tight end position is rare and gives you a safe floor week to week that a lot of players don't have. And he only caught 3 touchdowns this last year. But in that Kansas City Chiefs offense, he could easily go out there and have 7-8 touchdowns. We see him do it a ton. And the red zone is where I could really see him continue to be a part of this offense. I don't think that aspect of his game is going to go away. I think it's fluctuated a little bit, and we've seen touchdowns not be, the stickiest stat year to year. So that's what gives me to go back in on Travis Kelce, is I can just get him at such a late pick in the 8th round. The guy's going to go out there, catch 80 to 90 passes, and he has the upside of good touchdown numbers considering this offense, his connection with Pat Mahomes. I don't see his target share dipping too much from where it was last year, really. Maybe a percentage or two, but he's still going to be solid, still going to get his opportunities. And where he's going right now presents a really good opportunity to be able to stack some elite running backs, wide receivers, and then get him later and still have a guy who's going to go out there and give you points each and every week and be a reliable option at that tight end position, which can be so hard to find after those elite options at the top of the draft are gone. If you guys have made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. We had some technical difficulties storming here. That's probably why the Wi-Fi wasn't connecting 24/7, but good thing we wrote a lot of this stuff down. We were able to get our points across. But yeah, just want to thank all of you guys for watching so much. We are going to be uploading a lot more videos, wide receiver rankings, running back videos, values, sleepers, league winners, all that stuff is coming your way soon. So stay tuned and hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions, drop them down below in those comments. I'll respond to every single one as always. And have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll see you.